I think we're live on air. I'm Nickie O'Hara, and I'm here today with Sandra from Thinking Slimmer and Kirsty from My Two Mums. Now, I myself am a Thinking Slimmer fan, and we're going to talk all about what this concept is, because it's to do with diets, but it's not to do with diets. It's to do with not eating, but it is to do with eating, and all will become clear in the next half an hour. So first of all, I'd like to introduce my slimming thinking person. I don't know, Kirsty. So do you want to say hi, Kirsty?
Hi, I'm Kirsty. I blog over as one half of My Two Mums. And yeah, I've been using Thinking Slimmer for, well, the last couple of years, I think now.
Brilliant. I have a feeling we may have lost Sandra. I hope we haven't.
No.
Oh no, she's there. There she is. Hi Sandra, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, Sandra Roycroft-Davis. I am the founder of Thinking Slimmer, and lovely to be part of this.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
No, go on. Go for your life, Sandra.
So yeah, I founded Thinking Slimmer 6 years ago, and it's gone from strength to strength. We became the first clinically proven system of its kind in the world about 6 months ago. So we're very proud of that.
Well done.
Brilliant, that's awesome. Well, what the conversation we wanted to have today was, I've been using slimpods, and I think I used the fitpod a couple of years ago, but I think we've been connected now, Sandra, for about 4 years, I think it is, something like that. I think we first met at one of the early blog conferences I went to on the build-up to that, and you introduced me to this concept of listening to, because I'm a big believer in sort of like repetitive behaviour and subliminal thinking and things like that, and it all sort of fitted in, this concept all really fitted in with that, you know, that style of thinking. And as I say, we met just before this big blog conference about 4 or 5 years ago, and yeah, it's just like, you know, I started listening to, I think it was the drop 2 dress sizes or drop 2 jeans sizes, which I think is you still have in your package, don't you? Is that right?
It's now called Slimpod Silver, but yes, that is it. Yeah.
So do you want to sort of try and explain to us the whole concept of what Thinking Slimmer actually is and what it does? Try and put it in a nutshell for us.
Okay, so Thinking Slimmer is a series of there's 2 programs. There's a Slimpod Silver program, and there's a Slimpod Gold program. And the Slimpod Silver program is literally a download, a digital download or a CD that you listen to for 9 minutes each day, and over a certain amount of time, that they start working very, very quickly, but over a certain amount of time you will find your relationship with food and yourself actually changing quite radically. So if you have got a tendency to eat unhealthily or eat possibly sugary food, snack and eat too much even, then you will find yourself starting to eat a lot less, hear your full signal where you probably haven't heard it for years, and you will also start walking around supermarkets and ignoring the aisles that have got all the sweet stuff in, and just be nudged towards and influenced by your own mind to eat healthy food and go for the healthy choices. They then appear in your basket, and and then you will start cooking healthily for yourself and the family. And it all sounds too good to be true, but it really isn't. It's happening to an awful lot of people.
So one of the questions that arises that I see quite a lot, because I've been in some of the support groups on Facebook and things like that that are available. One of the questions that comes up quite a lot is, am I being hypnotized?
Right. You are actually being dehypnotized. I know that might be a bit of a difficult one to get your head around, but we are constantly running our own programs all the time, and they're all very unhelpful, sometimes unhelpful programs. And what a slimpod does is take you out of those unhelpful programs. So it basically interrupts the pattern of behavior that you found yourself in. Nobody is telling you what to do, which is what hypnosis normally is known for. You know, Paul McKenna, the best, well, yeah, the best known stage hypnotist. He will tell you, I can make you thin. So he puts suggestions into your head and tells you to stop doing, you know, well, not stop doing, but you know what I mean. It's a different concept. So what we do is gently start unraveling your own unhelpful patterns around food, around chocolate, around sugar, around alcohol, and so that you're no longer running those behavior patterns anymore, and you are going towards different choices.
I think we just lost you a little bit there, Sandra. I've just...
Okay, can you hear me again?
Sorry, yeah, I can hear you again. I just wanted to see if... Kirsty, are you still with us?
I am.
Oh, right, brilliant. Just once we get Sandra's signal back, can you just... I mean, we're just talking about what Sandra was saying there about unravelling the way that we think, and, you know, these embedded ideas that we already have in our brains. Can you just give us a little bit of a, you know, sort of like how you have dealt with one of the issues that have been, you know, you've been using a slim pod for, or one of the pods for?
Well, I have been overweight pretty much my whole adult life. I think from getting overweight from probably about 12, 13, and just grew up in an environment where it was like microwave meals for dinner, and just not healthy wasn't at sort of the forefront. So when I became an adult, the option for weight loss was mostly like your Slimming Worlds, and friends were going on Weight Watchers and things like that, and I was just seeing a pattern where they were doing all this counting and sins and things like that, but then a lot of them were regaining the weight as soon as they've stopped the program, and that's not something I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to work on myself for the rest of my life. Basically, I wanted to be able to do something that will stay with me. And what I found was really interesting about Thinking Slimmer was I was seeing, I think when I started blogging, I became aware of a couple of other bloggers that kept mentioning Thinking Slimmer, and I looked into it, and then was introduced to Sandra and spoke to Sandra, and it's finally someone who made sense in saying that you don't need a diet. The diet is, it's not something, I don't want to be on a diet for the rest of my life. I want to live my life, and it's about undoing the bad damage that's been done and learning to live your life and not have to go around going, because the thing.
Oh, we're losing signal again. Sorry. Well, hopefully Kirsty will come back with us, but I think I know where she's going with this, because I hate the word diet.
Yeah.
To me, diet is something that embeds in your life, and it takes over your life, and I really think that that's what Kirsty was saying there. Whereas we have to have food to live, we have to have water or, you know, liquid to live, but why are we constantly, you know, thinking about the way in which we imbibe this stuff? And this is what I really like about the Thinking Slimmer system, is the fact that you stop thinking about it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, because really the big difference that I often tell people is that with food and with diets and any food type program, it is all about the food. You are focusing on the food. It is you're weighing. You've got the sins going on. You've got the calorie counting. The focus is on the food. Well, if you're trying to lose weight, food should be the last thing that you are focusing on. It should be at the back of your mind so that you can get on with your life. There is only a certain amount of things that you can think about each day, and food should not dominate your thoughts. And so that is really a big part of what happens here with the slimpod. Food and the very thought of food is relegated to the back of your mind, so that you are going about your day, and actually you'll find that you sometimes forget to eat. Whereas in the past, you might have just been waking up in the morning thinking about what you're going to be having for lunch, and then dinner, and food is just dominating your thoughts. That is what happens with slimpods. You don't think about food all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's this numbers game that we're very into, isn't it? It's very much we get up, we have to have breakfast, then we go about our day for 4 hours, we have to have lunch, then we go about our day for another 4 hours, we have to have tea, and it's very structured. And I think it fits into the same type of thing as well with clothes sizing. I hate walking into a shop and picking up a jumper that I think, oh, that's really nice, I love that. What size? And I immediately go to what size it is. Oh, it's not my size, so I'll put it back on the shelf. And I'm thinking, maybe I should just go and try it on and not bother about what's actually written in the label. Yeah. Why can't I get my, and that's my stumbling block, is looking at the numbers, looking at the number on the scales, looking at the number in the clothes. And for me, the Thinking Slimmer system has helped me re-educate myself about that, because I've stopped looking at those. I will try something on now instead of looking at the number inside, inside the clothing label. And I now know that a size 14 in one shop is not going to be the same size as a size 14 in another shop. So that re-education and that, like you said, the unraveling has really, really helped me.
It's also Nickie, it's also about control, because when you feel out of control with food, or with your appetite, you lose a lot of self-esteem, and the self-confidence. And when you just if you're out of control in any element of your life, whether it's food, whether it is, whatever, it's not a nice feeling. And what the slimpods do as well, and what our programs do, is actually help you be in control of food, and you feel as though you're getting your life back. And it is a huge thing for self-esteem, and that's what I'm all about at the end of the day. Is when we have control and when we have our confidence, we can do anything. It's empowerment.
Absolutely, and that's a really good word to use. I mean, I love that type of word, the empowerment type of, being back in control again. I think we've got Kirsty back talking about controlling Google Hangouts. Sorry about that. I'm so glad you managed to get back in with us again, Kirsty. We're just talking about ignoring the numbers, and I don't know how much of the conversation you managed to catch, but just a little bit of input about sort of from you would be good, about how this, sort of like how everything has fallen into place for you.
Well, the problem I was having before I started Thinking Slimmer was the weighing myself. Like, I would weigh myself every single day and get focused on, like, oh, I've lost a pound here, or oh, I've gained a couple of pounds, and then it would be that where you'd think, well, I'm not losing any weight, or suddenly I've put some on, oh, it's okay, I'll eat something this week because I've obviously gained a pound, so what's a couple of pounds? And what this has sort of taken for me is it's removed that I don't want to weigh myself all the time, because what I know is it's that scale goes up and down. It's human, it's natural. It'll, the beginning of the week I can weigh different to the end of the week, but it's how I feel, it's how I look, and that is what it's about. It's not about that number on the scale, because especially being a woman, and I find it more important with women, is our numbers do fluctuate because our bodies do change throughout the month, you know. So removing that attachment, I do weigh myself still, just because for reasons of medical reasons, and when visiting the doctors they forever ask you how much you weigh and your height and things, because they love that lovely BMI figure. But at the end of the day, that number isn't who I am. How I feel is who I am.
So just to clarify, have you come to that conclusion since listening to the Thinking Slimmer pods?
Yes, definitely, because it and I will be really honest, it did, for the first listening, I don't think I was fully putting myself into it, and it took for this sort of second time round where everything started to click. I started putting more into the way I was thinking. I started doing mindfulness study. I read a book called Slight Edge, and I realized that I'm going to get out of it what I put into it. So you can be a cynic and say, no, Thinking Slimmer doesn't work for me, but if you really haven't tried everything and you haven't put yourself into it, then you're not going to get anything in return. It's like with everything in life. You can't expect, if you just, brutally honest, it does work. It works really well. But if you're just going to go, I'm just going to do that 9 minutes and that's all I'm doing, I'm not going to put anything else into it for the rest of my day, then honestly, you're not doing the best for yourself. You aren't going to get things working because of your attitude. Whereas because I've changed how I think, because I'm using the pod and I'm actively looking for other ways to change my attitude and change the way I look at things, then this time round, and for the last year, I can honestly say that it's kind of laid those first base blocks, and I am putting those building blocks on top, because that's what I want to do, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about myself, and I know I can thank it for that, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good place, actually, because first of all, I know we've got a few viewers bobbing in and out. We do have a question and answer section, so if anybody who is watching would like to just type a question into the box, I think it's the description box, the comment box underneath this video, it'll pop up on a little screen that we've got on our laptops here, and we'll be able to answer that for you. So if you've got a burning question for Sandra, or you want to ask me or Kirsty something, now's your opportunity. Secondly, we keep mentioning slim pods, and we need to really say what they are. So I think this is a really good point for Sandra to come in. And Sandra, I'd love for you to explain, first of all, what is a slim pod, or what is the pods that these CDs that, or these downloads that people are listening to. I'd also like you to explain who the voice of the slim pod is, because that's such an important part of it all, and why, just like how this works, because I know I am a true believer in this repetition thing, but I do think there was some people thinking that it was like a weekly download that you listen to or something. So if we start from the beginning, and let's sort of like try and expand a little bit on what is a slim pod.
Okay, so a slim pod is a 9-minute recording that's available on digital download or a CD. And yes, it features the voice of Trevor Sylvester. Trevor is a genius, and I'm not saying that because I'm boasting about him or anything. He is just amazing. He trained me he's got an international school of cognitive hypnotherapy, and he trained me 8 years ago. And I went on to work then in Harley Street, and specialised with people who had weight problems. And after probably about a year or two, I realised that that it would be amazing if I could take what I was doing in Harley Street and just make it available to a wider audience at a fraction of the cost, because not everybody can afford to go into Harley Street. So I enlisted the help of Trevor because I thought women would prefer to have a nice male voice, and it's mainly women that were my audience at the time, and still are actually. Men do like losing weight, but they tend to do it differently, I guess. But we still do have a lot of men using slimpods now. So Trevor's voice is lovely. He is the master of our system, and our system really is the gold standard in this type of, as I've already mentioned, we're now clinically proven. But slimpods are unique, and our system is unique because even though it's a generic recording and you listen to it repeatedly, and I will tell you about that in a moment. But because it is a generic recording, but the unique thing is that it works on an individual mind. So everybody's different, and everybody's minds are different and unique. And this works on your mind as if it's unique. And it does that because there's a combination of cutting-edge techniques that involve unconscious persuasion, neuroscience, psychology, NLP, and a little bit of hypnosis. When I say hypnosis, hypnotic language, not hypnosis. So it's bound together with hypnotic language, and that's essential because the hypnotic language helps to turn off the conscious mind, so that the work and the expertise can just penetrate into the unconscious to make the change.
Can I just interject for 1 second? I mean, I know for myself, it's very much that the one thing that made this for me all fit into place is the fact that there is a mention, and I can't remember whether I read it on one of your articles or whether it's in the package material. This subconscious thing, it's like driving to work every single day. You take the same route, and sometimes you get to a point in that journey, you think, I've just driven 5 miles and I didn't realise I'd driven that distance. You know, I can't remember whether I went through a red light, or I can't remember how I actually got here, but I know I got here safely.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can feel a bit dangerous, but I know I was concentrating.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's exactly it, Nickie. Our unconscious is responsible for 90% of what we do every day. And we are creatures of habit, and that is why you listen repeatedly to the same recording, because what we're actually doing inside, what the slimpods are doing, is creating a whole new neural pathway in your mind, so that you are creating a whole new behavioural pattern without actually trying, because actually changing behaviour is the hardest thing to do consciously. That's why people can't stick on diets, because too many things happen when in the course of your day, and also willpower doesn't work, because willpower's like a muscle, it fatigues, it just doesn't work, and you know, there are lots of different reasons why people can't diet. Sugar is one of them. People go towards pleasure and away from pain, and if you are depriving yourself of pleasure for a consistent amount of time, it just doesn't work. You can't do it. You can't do it, because we like pleasure. We go towards pleasure in our lives, and so therefore slimpods they work with your own body, you know, with your unconscious is basically running the show, and the slimpod is working with your unconscious.
So there are little exercises that you need to, and I don't mean physical exercises, I mean conscious exercises that you need to do when you're working with the slimpods. Just as Kirsty said, which I thought was extremely valid, and I've not really thought of it put into words in that sense before, is you've got to put in to get back out, and you do only get out what you put in, which is why, you know, she's reaping the benefits on this occasion, or, you know, since all the pennies dropped into place. So you have to listen every day. You have to put aside 9 minutes in the day to listen to this slimpod. Now I listen to mine as I'm settling down in my bed at night, and I have a little Bluetooth headset, so I don't even have to have it wired up to my phone. I've got, you know, and I just plug it into one ear. I'm not sure whether it's supposed to be in both, but I just plug it into one ear, and I listen for the 9 minutes. And I often find that I wake up, and I haven't realised I've nodded off to sleep, but I often find that I wake up probably about a minute or two after it's finished.
Yeah.
So it's not sending me to sleep, but it is, you know, sort of, it is
Relaxing you.
Relaxing, yeah. I didn't want to say trance-like state, but it is relaxing, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the whole idea.
I used to listen to mine just before I went to bed because it did put me to sleep, until we discovered, because I misplaced my headphones, so I had to play it out loud. Clara, my wife, and I discovered that we had it on a loop from 10 o'clock in the evening, and it woke us up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was still playing. It's because of my playlist. I had it on a playlist which had set itself on the loop. So now I listen to it at lunchtime at work, so that I know that I've not got it on a deliberate loop. But I do think it worked really, really well.
So Sandra, is there a specific time of day we should be listening, and should we be listening with headphones or without headphones, or does it literally not matter?
No, it doesn't matter at all. There are, I think it's just personal preference, actually. I listen to mine on my 10-minute snooze in the morning just as I'm getting up. And I just listen at that time. So my alarm goes off. I put the thing. I listen to mine with my on my telephone. I don't even have my headphones. It's just my telephone beside my bed. And yeah, in the morning, it really doesn't matter. You can do it. You can listen while you're doing your housework, or while you're cooking, or anything really.
I mean, I personally wouldn't want to listen to it whilst I was driving.
No,
because
and you can't listen to it while you're driving because it might make you fall asleep.
Yeah. So I do like, rather than being active and listening, I want to be in a position where I know that it can take over. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And some people listen while they're running.
They listen while what? Sorry.
When they're running.
Oh, when they're running. I never thought of that, you see, because I was just going to come to that as with the putting in, you know, getting out of what you put in. So at the moment we're listening every day for 9 minutes. Everybody can afford 9 minutes in the day, because either listening when you're waking up, or listening during your lunch break, or, you know, we've just gone over 4 or 5 opportunities for the day where you can, you know, you've got 9 minutes. I don't want to use the word diet, but you do use it to sort of like look at food, you know, your intake of food. You can sort of like incorporate exercise a lot very easily into it. So, I mean, are there any slim pods, or are there any pods that work with exercise?
The slimpod, the slimpod recording itself will help you move more. It gently motivates you to climb stairs, or do things that you might find yourself taking the stairs at work rather than taking the lift. You will gently start realizing that you are moving more, and we have got a slimpod which gives you a little bit more Duracell batteries, so you then might find you start signing up for a 10K or a 5K or a 10K, because that's what lots of people do. Yeah, it really is about the because what happens is that it's all about transferring the balance really in your head. So sugar gives you a shot of serotonin, right? So you get, if you consume sugar, it gives you that feel-good serotonin. Exercise does the same. You get the same feeling from exercise. So what slimpods do is literally, after a little while, they flip the switch so that your brain gets its pleasure from the movement and the serotonin that's coming from the exercise rather than the sweet stuff. And it's very clever in that way, but that's then what happens. Your brain very quickly learns, because we're learning machines. We learn all the time, and your brain has just learns that it gets the pleasure from the exercise and it's not getting so much pleasure from the sugar anymore.
So it's about making informed choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And so it's informed choices, smaller portions, getting up, moving around more, finding ways in which, like you say, again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I mean, that is the whole point of it. It's all about the subconscious and not realising that we're making these until we actually sit down and think, right, I've just done that and I didn't realise I'd done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, none of us were born with bad eating habits. We accumulated them along life's journey, and this is really about resetting your mind and just just changing your mindset, and that's what happens.
So just to finish then, have you any, because I'm aware that we've been doing this for half an hour now, do you have any top tips? I mean, obviously we're going to direct people to the Thinking Slimmer website, where they can find out a lot more information about this system, and they can look at the articles on the website, they can purchase the downloads from there, but have you any top tips for those just starting out? I mean, I know that there's a whole pack that comes with the download where you can write down 3 positives for the day, you know, those sort of things. So what are your top tips, Sandra?
The top tips are one, listen, obviously. 2, the writing down is an essential piece of kit, because when you write down little changes, they can be the smallest change, but at least you then see the change happening, and your conscious and unconscious then works together to help you to believe that things are happening. And the third one is, goals are important, because you need to know where you're heading. You need to know what you actually want to achieve, and whether if it might be dropping a size. If you don't know where your destination is, then you won't know when you've got there. The other thing is to, and this would be a really top tip actually, take a photograph of yourself when you start out. The first day, take a photograph, and then at the end of the month, take another photograph, because putting those 2 photographs side by side is incredibly important. It's very motivational. They are, when you see the difference in the 2 photographs, it's far better than standing on a lump of metal in your bathroom, and which is called the scales, and seeing no movement on the scales, or very little movement, because the scales is the most evil thing in the house. So it's all about the way you're looking, and it's all about the way you're feeling. It's not about the scales.
So the last thing I wanted to pick up on as well was the 21-day thing. I don't think we've mentioned that yet, have we?
No. there is a I suppose it is a scientific repetition. It's a study that was done years and years ago, that it takes at least 21 days to form a habit. And the idea really is with the slimpod that you listen to at least you listen to it consistently at least for the first 21 days. Then you can listen to it 3 times a week, but it is a way of getting into a habit of listening to it, and that is really important because it's doing work inside your mind that is building the foundation for a whole new relationship with food so that you never have to diet again.
Yeah, so it's exactly what Kirsty said before about the building a foundation and then building upon that. So just before we finish, Kirsty, have you anything you wanted to add before we finish the hangout?
Pretty much, just like I said, just can't reiterate enough how important it is to put in what you do want out, because at the end of the day, the time is going to pass anyway. If you don't have 9 minutes a day to put into changing yourself, and you wanted to change yourself enough that you've gone and purchased it in the first place, you can at least give yourself the credit of seeing yourself through the 21 days rather than listening day 3 saying, oh, it's not doing anything, and stopping. If you've not actively given yourself the time to get to day 21, to put down your goals, to visualize where you want to be, then you can't truly say that you've put everything into it. And at the end of the day, you'll find yourself after those 21 days realizing you have made a change. There has been those differences, and those small differences do build on each other, and eventually you'll get there. You just have to believe in it. It is something you have to believe in to get to your goal.
Change is inevitable.
Definitely. Yep. And I think on that note, before we finish though, is there going to be, an option for a female or a male voice? We're going to be able to switch it like we can switch Siri on our iPhones?
Yep, there will be. Definitely.
There will be. There you go. There's an exclusive for us. Right. Right. So thanks very much. If anyone's got any questions, they can leave them in the description box below. I'm sure Sandra will come back and answer them if they need a professional answer, or if you want to ask anything about myself and Kirsty's experiences of thinking slimmer, we'll happily answer them when stuff like if those questions appear. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks to Sandra of Thinking Slimmer, and thanks to Kirsty as well.
Thank you, Nickie, and thanks, Kirsty. Lovely seeing you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.